Well, good morning, magandang umaga, and welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Today is a special edition of the pool build here in the backyard of Villa Feliz. As you know, we took 61 days and we did 61 episodes of the build here in the backyard of Villa Feliz to get to where we are today with that very nice pool in the background. Now, today's a special episode. Today's episode is going to answer many of the questions that you as subscribers and viewers have asked about what is the cost of building a swimming pool such as what you see behind me here in the Philippines. So what I'm going to try to do this morning as we're visited by our contractor who's doing last final touches and some training session and providing some manuals and supplies that we need to sustain the pool, what I'm going to try to do is sit down with him. Hopefully he'll sit down with me and maybe talk with you just a little bit about his company if you're interested in building a pool in pretty much anywhere inside the Philippines, because they cover all three islands of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So if you're interested in that, maybe you can get some information from this video in particular. Well, again, this is the intro. I'm trying to make it as short as possible. We'll get into all the details in just a moment. So without further delay, let's get today's video underway. All right, and now for what everyone has been waiting for. This is the interview with the contractor and our final cost. We're going to talk about costs here. What does it cost to build a swimming pool with a good, reputable swimming pool company here inside the Philippines? Anyway, I am very honored today to be visited by the contractor for Poolmate Services. He provides services like building swimming pools, servicing swimming pools, repairing swimming pools. There's a lot of things. And his name is Alvin Domingo. And he is part of a long history, a long family of people who do work here inside the Philippines with swimming pools. Anyway, I want to introduce you to the channel here this morning. And can you talk a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your history and your family's history with swimming pools?
Okay, sir. I'm Alvin Domingo. I'm the pool contractor of Poolmate Construction. And my father, the one started this business and passed it to us.
Pass on. And from what I understand, you started with him early on, and you learned a little bit about all the tricks of the trades of the swimming pool before you actually took over your section. I think the pool company with your father has been 30 years?
Yeah, almost 3 decades.
3 years?
3 decades.
Okay, so when did you actually start taking over where you run this
By
section?
myself?
Yeah.
2013, sir.
2013. All right. I got to tell you, your crew, your team, everybody, I am really impressed by your selection of employees that you have and the quality of what we have. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. So I know there's a lot of questions that you have about pools if you're considering building a pool. And I got the expert here right now, so we'll talk with him a little bit about. I wrote down several of the questions inside here about pool maintenance, cost of pools, many different things. We'll start with the first one. Let's talk about, a lot of people, they ask me about chemicals. Now, I know they were exposed to experience a couple of the chemicals that we had here, which is the muriatic acid,
chlorine,
and the chlorine,
and DE powder, sir.
And the DE powder. Well, we really didn't talk that much about the DE powder, but let's go over each one of these. Talk about all three of those, and what are they used for?
Chlorine, sir, is for antibacterial, for the water. Muriatic acid also do the pH balance, and the DE powder is the most. He stick in the filter. You cannot see by naked eye. DE powder, sir.
Can be seen by the naked eye. Now,
that is purpose. The powder stick to the filter element, and the bacteria cannot pass through.
So let's talk a little bit, since we're on that topic, about the DE filter, and we talked about the chemicals. And specifically, we bought a DE filter from you. You recommended it. I also looked online, and because we're using clear chlorinated water instead of a salt water configuration, the DE seems to be the standard.
Yes, sir.
That's the most preferred by most of the people. Now let's talk about those filters. Let's do a little bit of a comparison between the DE filter, the sand filter, and the salt chlorinated system that some of our subscribers have said they like the salt
salt
chlorinated
water.
system. Yeah, and I explained to you the reason why I went with the chlorinated, the standard, the DE filter using chlorinated water, because I like that squeaky clean feeling when I get out where I really don't have to rinse off. But I do know that there's some pros and cons about all of them. Let's talk a little bit about the DE filter. The DE filter.
The filter most quicker
Yeah,
to get the water crystal clear than sun filter.
it's faster.
It's faster, yeah. Sun filter is it takes 2 long hours.
And that's something that Alvin and I were talking about earlier, and it has to do with the method that's used for doing the filtration between the DE filter and the sand filter. And the way he explained it to me was the DE filter inside, when you put the DE inside, it sticks to an element on the inside. And what the DE compound, and the letters DE, they stand for?
Diatomaceous earth.
That's
That means.
That's right.
Diatomaceous earth.
And what he explained to me earlier was when the bacteria comes through the filtration system, the DE attracts it to that compound on the element inside the filter. Whereas the sand filter acts just like your ground. When you have rain that comes
Yes,
and it filters through before it goes to maybe an underground water system, where you would, if you had a well or something, it filters through all those grains of sand all the way through, the dirt and the sand, and then eventually the deeper it goes, the cleaner it will be. But you said the sand filter, it's a much longer process it takes to actually get the water clean.
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
Much longer.
Now, the salt system. Let's talk about the salt chlorinated system just briefly.
Salt chlorinated, you must you must put salt on your pool.
Put salt in the
And
pool.
salt chlorinator instrument converted to chlorine. That is purpose. You don't need add to chlorine in your pool, sir. That's purpose. So the salt converts the salt chlorinator to chlorine.
Okay. So there are a lot of our subscribers that made the recommendation for the salt chlorinated system, and it's probably based on a couple of factors that are pros for using the salt chlorinated system. And one has to do with cost.
Yes, of course.
Because it costs a lot to maintain it costs more to maintain a chlorinated system over the salt system, because of course you have to pay for chemicals to go inside there.
Yes, sir.
And the other one you have to pay for salt, which is pretty cheap,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And also has to do with some people feel that the health benefit is a little bit better. So another thing that the contractor provides to the client when they turn over the swimming pool is a checklist. And actually, I have the checklist right here in my hand. And what Alvin and his company does, they provide a very detailed checklist, and it's tailored to your specific configuration of your swimming pool. And that's what they did. This morning, I received this, and maybe I can scan this in and I'll show you. And it has to do with all of the valves,
Yes, sir.
the configurations inside there.
Operation manual.
And this is our specific configuration that we have right here for our swimming pool, our typical swimming pool. That shows the configuration in the order of all the valves that we have
sir.
inside there, and everything that we need for the backwash, for the waste, filtration, all the different things that we need, connecting up the vacuum. Everything was done in very, very fine detail. So it's very intuitive, very easy to understand and be able to do that. And I appreciate that you all went to this level of detail to do this as well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I gotta tell you, this was probably, out of all the builds that we had here, everything during the construction of Villa Feliz, the build of doing the landscape of the yard, I gotta say that your team was probably the easiest team I had to work with, because no matter what I asked for, your team always asked me, specifically your foreman, Obeng.
Obeng, yes, sir.
He'd always say, "What do you want, sir? What do you want, sir?" An important thing that we want to talk about is where do you build? When I spoke with Obeng, I know that you guys will service, provide
We can
builds
build anywhere in Philippines, sir.
anywhere in the Philippines.
As long the expenses, travel costs provided by the clients.
Okay. So basically, he's saying anywhere. If you are anywhere in the Philippines, it doesn't matter on any of the 3 big islands, Luzon,
Visayas,
Visayas,
Mindanao.
or Mindanao. you can contact him, and what you can do is speak with him about the travel costs associated, any other things that are associated with travel, as well, to be able to build in your area. Now, I got to tell you, it's tough. It's tough to find a good contractor in the Philippines. There are many good ones, but the reason we do these kind of things, that we speak with the contractor and we give our product reviews, or we give our review after a contract, is so that if you're considering any of these type of bills, and you see from the experience, and you saw from day one, 61 days, you got to see everything that happened here on this one, and you're interested in doing something like that, you know that you are going to get a reputable company right from the beginning. You don't have to guess until the end, because again, like I said, finding someone who is reputable, the only way you usually find somebody, it's usually word of mouth, and this is the word of mouth that we're sharing from here. And I gotta tell you, we are extremely happy. I can't tell you how happy we are with the build that we have here. Now, we talked about, I just want to briefly do cost here, and the cost that we're going to talk about here has nothing to do with my cost. That's going to be revealed at the end. I already received the final computation, basically an adjusted proposal from Alvin, because we did some upgrades here.
Yes, sir.
We did some, and I don't know how typical the upgrades are. Our upgrades were with other clients that you've had, and if you want to, you can talk about that as well. But there are costs associated with doing upgrades. Normally, at the very beginning, we got our first proposal from you, and you had a price.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we started with. But then, as we went along, some of the cost adjustments that we had to do, because we selected different tiles.
Different tiles, like Aral stone.
And Aral stone, and quantity of Aral stone that we had. So briefly, when we're talking about costs associated with, you normally, in your package, in your proposal, it's what a standard pool that you would normally build inside the Philippines.
Pool,
and the tiles that you typically install are
8x8, sir. Mariwasa tiles.
And if you come from the West, which I originally comes from the West,
US.
we normally use mosaic tiles. That's pretty much the standard. But you had no problem sourcing. When I asked you, can we go from that standard tile to the mosaic tiles?
Yes, sir. That's not a big deal.
Yeah. And let me ask you, my configuration that I have here, right? Is this the typical configuration that you normally find in the Philippines? That's for your clients?
No, sir. This is deeper end. This is the only one. One of the kind.
one of a kind. Well, and the reason ours is one of a kind, and it's a different configuration that we have here, is because it was because of our design. We wanted something a little different.
Yes, sir.
Our design was very different because we use multiple shades of tiles, which I don't think you probably ever had any client that does that. That says, I want this color tile in one part of the pool, another color in another part of the pool, and even another color for the floor for the level, which we did for the 5-inch and the 10
and 10 inches, sir.
So the main reason we did that is our design was we wanted something to look deep, which is a darker blue in a deeper section, our 5-foot section, and we wanted something to represent a more shallow, which is the lighter blue. We did a lighter blue. But you know what? Alvin said, no problem. If that's what you want, that's what you're going to get. Yeah. And I appreciate your not challenging. There was no, I don't think that's going to look right. We never received that from anybody. Everything that we asked for, it was delivered. And it was delivered with happy faces and very quick. And I can't tell you, again, I can't underemphasize how important the relationship between the client and the contractor was, specifically on this build. Now at the end of today's episode, once I'm able to transfer everything, I'm going to scan in some of the documents that Alvin sent to me. We're finalizing right now. They're in the process right now. They're doing a cleanup, a post-construction cleanup. They're going to be removing all the debris that's left here on the site. And you're also probably wondering, why aren't you hearing the water? We have a beautiful waterfall behind us, and we have some nice jets that pump up, make it sort of look like a jacuzzi in our very low waiting areas. We don't have them on right now because it would make too much noise, but what we'll do, we'll turn on everything in just a little bit, and you get to see the final. Maybe I'll do a little drone overview as also, like we normally did during the build.
So you can see the top views.
Yeah. But what I'm going to do is, once I collect all that information, at the end of today's episode, you'll see the bottom line. And when I say bottom line, the total cost of this pool construction, and I think you'll really be surprised. Well, anyway, I got to thank you and your team for all the hard work that they did here. It took a little bit longer than we expected, but this was more of a
storms,
through 3 typhoons.
Three typhoons.
And these guys worked through 3 typhoons in the mud. And if you haven't watched this series, if you have an opportunity to go from the beginning to the end, it's amazing. It is incredible watching what these guys did over this. Again, to you, Alvin, 2 thumbs up. And if I had more than 2 thumbs, I would give you more thumbs up for this project right here. And I thank you for all the hard work that you and your guys did to make our dream a reality here at Villa Feliz. And thank you very much.
James. Thank you.
One more thing I would like to cover before we go into showing you the price of what it costs to build a swimming pool like this in the Philippines. We started early on in the episodes asking people what they thought the shape of the swimming pool looked like from the drone bird's eye view. And we got a lot of really interesting replies on what people thought. And we kind of had a little contest going. So what I want to do, I want to go ahead and kind of capture several of the opinions of a lot of you, what they thought the pool looked like, and what the number one answer was. It looks like a pear shape. Kind of like a pear shape. Giant tooth. Looks like an owl. Electric guitar shape. Another tooth. I will tell you, tooth and guitars were probably about the most. Another guitar shape right here. Mickey Mouse's face. Yeah, I can see that. Figure 8. Typical figure 8. A MPID Dream heart shape. Oh, and the Iron Man. I don't know about the Iron Man. The head of a Roman soldier. Could be. Well, anyway, we got so many really good opinions of what people thought the swimming pool looked like. But after we calculated, we went back and we added everything up. The 2 most, like I said earlier, a tooth looked like a tooth. Even with a cavity in the center of the tooth where the little palm planter is in the center. And a guitar, with the guitar being the planter, again being the hole in the center of the guitar. And the only thing that would have made it fully look like guitar would have been the neck. If we'd have done like a walkway that goes to the house at the very head of the shape of the guitar. But those of you who selected guitar, that was the number 1 answer to what does the swimming pool look like. So I applaud all of you for doing our little questionnaire. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed that as well. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into a detailed listing. When you talk about cost of a swimming pool, we try to pride ourselves here on MPID Dream to show you every detail. We're talking about the materials that were used, the scope of the work that went into it, everything that would be part of the proposal, or what some people call the bill of materials, or the BOQ. But what we have here is a list, and I'm going to run a list here of everything that was involved. Now, if you look at the list, you're going to see a lot of things that say upgrade, because we did several upgrades throughout the pool. Some of the upgrades we requested personally to have these things done, and some of them were actually given to us upgrades by the swimming pool company. The contractor made sure that if he thought we needed something a little better in quality, he purchased that on his own dime and put that inside of our build. Specifically, I will tell you, was the filter. The filter, we started out with a Hayward, I don't remember the model number, it will be inside the list, but it was a smaller one. But when I told him that we were going to upgrade to a higher powered variable speed pump later on, what he did, he upgraded the DE filter to be accommodated by the new pump that we were going to install later on. So anyway, go ahead and watch the list of the materials and all the stuff that has to do with the build of the swimming pool, or the scope of labor, all the upgrades, as well as the warranty. It shows at the very end too. Now, for those of you who just want to skip right to the price, skip to the next 2 minutes. I think it's about a 2-minute long listing of the materials that we used here, and you'll see the price at the very end. Now what you didn't see on that list of materials was the rubber ducky, and that was given to us by one of our wonderful subscribers, shipped from across the world. Anyway, what I want to do before, again, and this isn't a teaser, what I want to do is discuss a little bit about pricing a swimming pool. And I just want to give you a little bit of information about what we did prior to coming over to the Philippines way back when and starting to build Villa Feliz. We were going to build a swimming pool not nearly as nice as this one right here in our backyard at our home in the United States. We got pricing proposals, we got quotes, and what we ended up looking at was a pool that was half as nice as this, no big waterfall like this, a very simple rectangular swimming pool with a waterfall, but it was a very typical square waterfall with like 3 little spouts that went out that poured water inside the swimming pool. No bridge, no multi-levels, but it did have a jacuzzi and rectangular swimming pool. And our price quote came in the US came in at, it was $30,000 US, and I believe the equivalent of that is about 1.440 million pesos over here. Now, we should have a drum roll for this. So the total cost of our swimming pool here in the Philippines from the swimming pool team and company that we selected came in at 1.2 million, or the equivalent of about 25,000 US. I'm very happy with that. Came in much lower than if we would have tried to build anything like that in the US. You ask people in your area, we had quotes from people telling us in their area, depending on what part of the United States that they're in, anywhere from 25,000 to 75,000. Of course, if you live in a place like California, you could expect somewhere upwards of $75,000 for something like this. I don't think you're going to get this built anywhere in the US, anywhere, even in the lowest economic areas for 25,000. Don't think you're going to get it done. That's my opinion based on previous experience. Well, anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the Villa Feliz swimming pool project. 61 days of building here in the backyard. I'm going to leave information in the description block again today for the pool team if you're interested in hiring these guys. Remember, they said earlier they will travel anywhere all over the Philippines, and I highly endorse these guys. If you're interested in a quality build, these are the guys to go through. Well, anyway, thank you again for watching these 2 months worth of episodes, and we're going to continue on with our regular Villa Feliz series of things to do around the Philippines. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up, please share, and if you have not subscribed, just click on that little MyPID Dream heart in the bottom right hand side of your screen. You'll be subscribed and notified the next time I upload a new video. So until such time from right here in the Philippines, you have a wonderful and blessed day. If you enjoyed today's episode and you would like to see more just like these, just click on one of the helpful links over to your right and you might be able to pick up on some good information on DIY projects, how to, or if you are interested in moving to the Philippines and building, you'll find answers there as well.